So there you are. That's the oldest British curry recipe ever written, recorded by Hannah Glasse in 1751. Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. I'm Rick. Today we're making a curry. This is a curry lover's must. You must know where the original curry recipe came from. We are making it today. We are making the original, first ever written British curry recipe, recorded by Hannah Glasse in 1751. That's how far this goes back. And this is the pre-runner to the British Indian restaurant curries that we know today. This is the first ever written recipe. And this recipe comes from Hannah Glasse's book of 1751, The Art of Cookery, Plain and Easy. The first recorded recipe ever, and curry spelt C-U-R-R-E-Y, curry. So this curry is very simple. At that time, in Georgian times in the 1750s, the British East Indian Company was expanding. It was bringing its spices, and turmeric, ginger were two of the spices at that time, along with black pepper, and they used dried spices at that time. They didn't bring fresh, obviously. The traveling and all the rest of it, it was all dried powdered spices. So we're going to use powdered turmeric, powdered ginger, powdered black pepper. And her recipe, 3 large onions, 2 chickens, skinned and boned, but we are going to use chicken thighs because there's a better meat, and 2 lemons, some cream, some water, and that's your curry. So if you don't mind, I'm going to give full credit, because we always give credit on this channel. We don't make things and pretend we made it. This is Hannah Glasse's recipe, so full credit to her. Okay, so I'm going to quote the recipe as we look at the ingredients. And the recipe quite clearly says, take 2 small chickens, skin them and cut them as for fricassee. Wash them clean and stew them in an amount, a quart of water for about 5 minutes. Strain off the liquor and put the chickens in a clean dish. I'm using chicken thighs. We're going to skin and bone, and we're going to boil it just like she says. It says, take 3 large onions, chop them small and fry them in some butter. And then it says, take a 1/4 ounce of turmeric, a large spoon of ginger and some black pepper. Stir that in, cook that in there, and then add your liquor, the water that we've boiled the chickens in. It says put that in, cook it in there for half an hour, stir in some cream, and they would have used double thick cream back then. I've got like a cooking whipping cream, so we might have to be a bit careful because we are going to add the juice of lemons. Now it clearly says 2 lemons in the recipe. Wow, that's going to be sour. So we're going to have chicken spiced with ginger, turmeric, pepper, soured with lemon, with cream in. Let's get on with it, come on. So we've got these onions here. I'm going to do the onions first just to get them out of the way, and we'll just do it on this board that I'm going to do the chicken on. Okay, we are going to chop these small. So like I say, I'm doing it onions first and then chicken, just to make it easy. We've got this old onion here, look, that doesn't matter. So you just peel your onions any which way that you normally do, that's up to you, and we're going to chop them up. So basically it says you chop them small, so we're just going to dice through the onions. I'm going to chuck them in a bowl. So get everything in a bowl. We're going to put 3 onions in there. Let's carry on. 1 bowl of onions. Let's get this skin off here. And it says bone. So you just bone the chicken any which way that you normally do. And it clearly says cut it up. So we're going to do that. So come on with all this chicken. Let's get it done. That's our chicken in a bowl. Now for me personally, if I was making a curry, but obviously we've all been taught differently along the way, that in there, the bones and the skin would make for a fantastic stock or broth. Hannah Glasse's recipe does not say cook that, it says cook the chicken. Now I'm going to use this pan. They would have probably just used a pan, but you know. Now there's certainly not going to be much to this cook at all. Okay, I'm not kidding. In there with our water as per recipe. So I mean, it's got the water in there. Now did they bring the water to the boil before putting the chicken in to cook, or did they put the chicken in and bring it to the boil? I'm going to do it, boil the water, put the chicken in, because I think if we'd have bring it up to the boil, the chicken would be cooked too much. So let's get it up to the boil. Okay, we're getting our water up, look, in there with our chicken. In it goes. So as we're following the recipe, it clearly says wash them clean, that's that, and stew them for about 5 minutes. Take out and keep that water, the liquor. So let's get that up there. Let's hope it gets to a boil very quickly. We're using quite cold chicken actually. I'm sure they would have used room temperature chicken. So you can see it's got the chicken oils in the water. That is fantastic. So it's very straightforward on this. It says take the chicken out. So we're going to put that back in a bowl. And then we've got to reserve the water, the liquor. So we are reserving all this goodness straight back into our jug. And that is going to be our curry sauce. I'll just give that a quick wipe in there. And we are going in there with our butter. Something like that. And we're going in there with our onions. It says fry till soft and golden. Oh, we've got a bit of skin there, look, let's get that out. So while that's cooking in there, we're just going to mix up our spices. Turmeric, black pepper and ginger. Give that a mix in. That's our spice mix. Fabulous. So come on, let's get these onions golden. Oh, they're turning golden now, look. Fabulous. Okay, and then it says put your chickens in and fry until brown. Well, that's going to be unusual with 3 lots of onion in here, but there you go. Let's give it a go, eh? I would imagine it's light brown actually. They ain't going to be brown all over. Watch we don't burn the onions as well in our quest to put some colour on the chicken. So you can see how the curries have evolved over the time. You know, we're still cooking onions in there, but now we add tomato paste, chillies and everything else in there. But you know, we're still making a base with onion, and we're cooking it out, we're frying it out exactly the same as it did in 1750 or 1751 when this recipe was written. Okay, that's good enough for me. Okay, it says brown all over, but you know, that chicken's cooked. Now, our spices in there. Now I'm going to stir it around a little minute and bloom them a little minute, but it just says chuck your spices in and then chuck your liquor back in. So we've added it with the chicken and onions as per the recipe. We've bloomed it a little bit and then it says add your liquor. So we're going to put that chicken water back in there. And that is the base of our curry there. Now cook uncovered for 30 minutes. And obviously within that time just a gentle stir, just in case anything's dropped to the bottom. That's it. So you can see it's started to evaporate out and thicken out a little bit in there. Smells very much of turmeric and ginger like you would expect. But you know, in 1751 this would have been a fantastic spice dish. That is sensational. Oh my word. The first ever recorded curry. Look at that. That is just unbelievable. Okay, Hannah Glasse's recipe says put in 1/4 pint of cream and the juice of 2 lemons. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the cream in and then we're going to stir this through, let this cook in there a little, probably a little minute, not much. And then we're going to turn off the flame completely before we stir in any lemon. We don't want this to curdle. Okay, we got a few bubbles coming through there, look. That will do it. We got the flame off. Oh, now we're going to squeeze in some lemon. Now it says the juice of 2 lemons. Let's give it a taste after 1 lemon because I think this is going to be sour. In we go. Look at that. Now we're hoping we don't curdle it. That's why we turn the flame off. And it hasn't curdled with that bit of a lemon. Okay, let's stir the next bit in. And another thing, we don't know how big the lemons were in those days. Were they small or were they big? These are large lemons, these. So let's have that stirred in. That's beautiful, look. We haven't curdled it. That's lovely. That's because we turned the flame off. Now I think we're going to stick with 1 lemon because we're using huge lemons here. And we don't know how big the lemons were back in the day. So I think that is our beautiful curry. I think we've got to serve it up and try it. Look at that. Are we ready for this? The original on there. So there you are. That's the oldest British curry recipe ever written, recorded by Hannah Glasse in 1751. Look at that. That is amazing. Come on. Now my mouth is watering, I can be honest. But you know, I think my mouth's watering because it's expecting this to be a curry as we know curries today. But you know, come on. In we go. We're going to start with the chicken. It's falling apart. So we're going to go on the spoon. Come on. Man, chicken is absolutely stunning, beautiful, falling apart. Of course it is, it's been cooked to death. It's been cooked 30 minutes and that little bit before, so it's soft, it's delicious. Lovely, lovely chicken. The sauce, and you know, it's got a lemon taste. It tastes of lemon. That is obviously coming out of the curry we made. Now, what does the curry taste like? Let's get some sauce, and then we'll go on to some sauce and rice. So this is just straight sauce. It very much tastes like you expect it to taste. It's turmeric forward, ginger in there, lovely ginger flavour through the back of it, and a tiny bit of warmth from the pepper. It's not spicy, it's delicious, and it's got that sour kick from the lemon, and the creaminess is obviously there. You know, it's not unpleasant. For 1751, I'm sure it was a revelation. So this simple curry is the #1 ancestor to the British Indian curries that we know today. There you go. Amazing. Not many Indians will know this recipe or the history to this or how the British Indian curry came around. Not many British will know this, or people around the world. You know, people ain't reading books from 1751. This is a cracking recipe. I'm glad I've made it. I'm really, really over the moon that I've made this recipe, and I've tasted the original curry. The first ever curry recorded, and it was recorded by Hannah Glasse in 1751. And I keep plugging her name and the book. I think it's worthy of being kept in the annals of history of the British Indian restaurant curry. Amazing. There you go. For all you people out there, I'm probably all yellow actually from the turmeric, because there's quite a lot of turmeric going on here. Actually, there's no more turmeric going on than there is in a normal curry. However, we add loads of different spices and tomato and everything else, make a big gravy, you know, different to this. So it's probably got the same amount of turmeric in, so it hasn't changed in the day, you know. Still the same. So there you go. If you like what we're doing, don't forget, share with your friends and tell them about the oldest British curry recipe ever written from 1751. This is a revelation. Now here's a posing question that I have. I just wonder how many people have splashed a curry down the vest or the shirt or whatever from 1751 and slurped it down with a tankard of ale. Oh, good old days, eh? How to enjoy a curry on a Friday night. So there you go. If you like what we're doing, don't forget, smash that like and subscribe, share with your friends, tell them all about this, and we'll catch you in the next video.